Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we've got a really specific mission, actually. We're diving into the sentences you shared, all about hitting, a solid level of English fluency by 2026. And the big idea, forget moving abroad. The sources say your own home is potentially your best language learning asset, if you set it up right.
Yeah, it's this idea of total immersion, but, DIY style. Creating a kind of simulation of living in an English-speaking place right where you are.
Exactly. Turning your house, your habits, everything into this system that just forces your brain to use English all the time. Less like studying, more like needing it to function.
And that's really the core of why it's supposed to work so well. I mean, if you think about how kids learn their first language, they're just surrounded by it, aren't they? Hearing it constantly, trying to speak without worrying about mistakes, connecting sounds directly to things, not translating in their head. This home immersion setup kind of aims to replicate that, to short-circuit the translation habit.
Okay, right. So let's unpack this. How do you actually build this home immersion zone? Because the sources were pretty clear, this is meant to be, way more fun than grammar drills. It seems like it starts with really immediate physical stuff in your environment. First action, like grab some sticky notes.
Yeah, seriously. Label everything.
Everything, like the fridge, the table.
The lamp, the door, the kettle, whatever you see often. Slap an English label on it.
Seems almost too simple.
Well, it's not just about memorizing the word table. It's about what some call context collapse. You see the object, you see the English word right on it. You start building a direct link, bypassing your native language, Mesa, Tish, whatever it is, becomes just table.
Okay. Breaking that translation dependency. Got it.
Yeah.
And then moving beyond labels, they talk about creating a specific space.
An English media space.
So like a bookshelf or a corner.
Yeah, exactly. Put your English books there, maybe a dictionary, magazines, movies, make it look inviting, a place you want to go for fun, not just study.
Okay, labels, media corner. But then there's the step they called, like the non-negotiable one.
The digital switch.
Change the language settings on everything.
Your phone, your laptop, tablet, streaming services, the lot, immediately.
That sounds potentially annoying.
It is, at first. But think about how much time we spend navigating menus, checking notifications, just clicking around. If all that is in English, you have to process it in English just to do basic tasks. There's no easy way out. I want to check your email, read the English menu, find a song, English. It's constant sort of passive but essential practice. It forces that cognitive shift.
Right. So that's setting up the environment, the zone. Now let's talk about the daily habits, the active stuff, the fun part maybe.
The input flood, yeah. Starting with listening.
Okay, so podcasts, music, audiobooks, just lots of it.
Loads of it. Flood your ears. And crucially, the sources say don't panic if you don't understand every word at the start.
Right, because it's not just about vocabulary at this stage.
Exactly. Your brain's soaking up the rhythm, the intonation, the melody of the language. You're training your ear for the sounds, the flow, even if it's subconscious. It's foundational stuff.
And for watching things, movies, TV, YouTube, there was this really clear strategy, a progression.
Oh yeah, the 3 steps? That's quite clever, actually. It manages the difficulty.
Okay, so step 1, start with subtitles.
Yep.
But in your native language.
For comprehension, enjoy the story, get the context, link the sounds to the meaning loosely. No pressure.
Then, step 2, switch to English subtitles. This seemed like the big one.
It really is, because now you're connecting the English sound you hear
to the English word you see on the screen.
Exactly. It builds that sound-to-symbol bridge. Huge boost for vocabulary, for reading speed later on. You're forcing the brain to process English visually and orally at the same time.
Okay. Avoiding keeping that translation crutch active.
Right. And then, eventually, step 3.
Ditch the subtitles altogether.
Yep. The final goal, true listening comprehension. It's a neat, stepped approach. Avoids overwhelming you.
And reading. Similar idea, right? Start easy.
Very similar. Read every day, but start small. Easy stuff. A blog you like, short news articles, maybe a simple story.
Not diving straight into Shakespeare or something.
Definitely not. And the key thing they mentioned was focusing on the overall meaning, the flow.
Don't stop for every single word you don't know.
Right. If you're looking up words constantly, it just becomes a chore, a vocabulary list. You lose the story, the enjoyment.
Okay, so that covers input, listening, and reading. Now for the part that feels, harder. The output, speaking and thinking.
Ah, yes, the internal shift. Learning to think in English. This is where it gets really interesting and challenging.
The sources talked about narrating your day.
Internally.
Conscious internal narration. It's like giving yourself a running commentary in English. You're making coffee. You think, okay, I'm boiling the water now. Where's the filter? Here it is, putting the filter in.
Wow, that sounds intense, like all day long. Maybe not all day at first. That would be exhausting. The idea is to start with focused bursts. Train that mental muscle. Why? Because it forces you out of translating. You're directly accessing the English words for the actions, the objects, not thinking it in your language and then searching for the English equivalent.
Right. Building that direct pathway again.
Okay.
And that internal practice is kind of prep for the external bit, actually speaking.
Exactly. You've got to make noise. Open your mouth.
The sources really hammered this.
Yeah.
Building confidence is key.
Absolutely. And how do you do that? Practice.
They suggested finding language partners online?
Yep. Online partners, conversation groups, or even just talking to yourself.
Seriously, like talk to the mirror.
Totally serious. Narrate what you're doing out loud. Read a recipe aloud. Practice dialogues. The point isn't perfect sentences at first, it's frequency. Just doing it builds the confidence, and confidence fuels more practice. It's a positive cycle.
Okay, that makes sense. Practice breeds confidence.
And to support all this immersion and practice, you need tools, right, for the gaps.
The resources, apps, dictionaries.
Right, but it's about how you use them within this immersion strategy.
Right.
Language apps, like Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise, they aren't the main course here. They're more like structured revision. You notice a grammar point from your listening, you can check it or practice it in the app.
So reinforcing what you're already encountering naturally.
Precisely. Not learning brand new stuff cold from the app, ideally.
And dictionaries. Quick lookup.
Yeah, quick reference, like Merriam-Webster Online, Collins, for when you hit a word reading or watching that just blocks your understanding. Look it up quickly, get back to the flow.
And YouTube came up a lot. Not just for lessons.
No, crucially for your hobbies. Use YouTube for stuff you already love. If you like cooking, find English cooking channels, tech reviews, watch them in English, makeup tutorials, English. Keeps it relevant, engaging, less like homework, more like just enjoying your interests in English.
Makes sense. And communities, forums, social media.
Yeah, low-stakes writing practice. Ask a question, reply to a comment. It's interaction without the pressure of instant speaking. Good for building confidence, too.
Okay, so you've got the environment, the daily habits, the tools.
Yeah.
But this takes time, right? Fluency by 2026 isn't overnight. How do you stay motivated?
Good question. Consistency is everything. The sources had some solid tips. First, ditch perfectionism. Set small, achievable goals. Like, watch one 10-minute YouTube video with English subtitles today, or do 5 minutes of internal narration without switching back. Tiny wins.
And celebrate them.
Absolutely. Call them micro-fluency moments. Acknowledge the progress.
What about accountability?
Huge. Find a study buddy if you can. Or just tell a friend your goals. Share your progress. Makes it more real, maybe more fun, less isolating.
Don't go it alone. Makes sense.
And finally, rewards. If you hit a bigger goal, like having your first simple conversation, reward yourself.
Like watching that movie you wanted to see.
Exactly. Or buying that English book, or just having a nice meal. Positive reinforcement works, keeps the motivation engine running.
Which brings us to maybe the biggest mental block. Mistakes. The fear of messing up.
This was a central theme.
The message seemed to be, get over it.
Pretty much. Mistakes aren't failures, they're just data.
Data.
Yeah, information about what you need to work on. You have to make mistakes to learn. If you let the fear of sounding silly stop you from speaking, well, the whole immersion thing kind of grinds to a halt, doesn't it?
Right. You have to keep producing language, even if it's clumsy at first.
It connects back to that child language acquisition model. Kids are messy language learners. They make tons of errors, but they get there because they keep trying. So the sources really stress consistency. Even just 30 focused minutes a day, combined with that constant background immersion.
That's the key to hitting that 2026 goal.
That's the argument. Prioritize consistent effort, especially output, over grammatical perfection.
Fantastic. Okay, so just to recap, the most immediate actions for you listening. 1, grab those sticky notes. Label your surroundings, build those direct links. 2, change your device language settings, like right now. Embrace the friction. And 3, try that subtitle progression. Native, then English, then none. Be systematic.
And this whole discussion does raise a really interesting point for you to consider. If fluency is so much about absorbing rhythm and sound, just flooding your ears, How do you personally balance that passive listening with the active, focused effort needed for, say, grammar practice or deliberate speaking? That balance is probably different for everyone.
And the sources push that idea of internal narration, thinking in English. So maybe the final thought to chew on is this. If you really succeed in shifting your internal monologue, your thoughts, maybe even your dreams, into English, does that change you? Does your sense of identity or how you see the world actually shift a bit along with the language? Something to explore. Go forth and immerse. Fluent in English and fast.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to lay out a blueprint for creating a total English immersion environment right where you are, without having to pack a single bag.
Exactly. And the sources we pulled for this, they're all about being practical. We're talking immediate application.
So no boring vocabulary drills.
None. We're moving straight into how you can literally transform your surroundings. The mission is pretty simple, really. Pull together the best strategies to build your own language bubble at home.
Right, a bubble. I like that. Because this isn't about just, small improvements. This is about a whole structural overhaul.
It is.
The question the research really asks is, how do you turn your living space into a place that basically forces your brain to engage with English?
And it all starts with the why. Why does immersion even work? The research is pretty clear that fluency comes less from, say, formal study and more from just being surrounded by the language all the time.
Okay, so it's about mimicking how we all learned our first language.
You've got it. That's the perfect analogy.
Let's unpack that then, because the power of the environment seems to be the key.
Well, when a kid learns to talk, they're not sitting there with a textbook, right?
Yeah, no grammar charts.
They're just living. They exist in a world where the language is the constant background music. They hear patterns, they hear tones, they hear phrases over and over again.
And they're not catching every single word.
Not at all. But their brain is just soaking it all up, building this map of sound and meaning.
And the big insight here is that you don't have to move to London or New York to do that. You can actually engineer that bubble right at home.
Precisely. It's all about being deliberate. You have to force yourself into situations where English is the default operating system, not just some app you can close.
Okay, let's get practical. Setting up the zone. We're talking physical and digital. First up, the physical space, and something I'm calling label mania.
The sticky notes. A classic for a reason.
It is, but I have to push back a little here.
Okay.
This sounds like it could make my apartment look like an absolute mess of visual clutter. I mean, if you like a clean, minimalist space is labeling every single thing, the microwave, the plant, the light switch, is that really going to work for people?
That's a really fair point. And the research sort of suggests that the short-term mess is worth the payoff.
Why, though?
Because the goal isn't just to see the word, it's to interact with the object while seeing the word. Every time you reach for the handle or you open the drawer.
You get a little flashcard moment.
A tiny instant flashcard. It ties the abstract word to the physical thing in your memory so much faster than just, a list in a notebook ever could.
So it's about linking the word to the action.
Exactly. And beyond the notes, one source really pushed for creating a dedicated English corner.
An English corner.
Yeah, just an intentional, inviting spot, a comfy chair, a good lamp, and it's reserved for only English stuff. Books, magazines, whatever. Making it cozy makes you want to go there.
I like that. Okay, let's move to what the sources call the really big one, the digital shift.
This is a must-do if you're serious about speed.
Changing the language settings on every single device.
Phone, laptop, tablet, you name it. You are basically pulling the safety net out from under yourself.
But this is where it gets scary. I mean, it sounds incredibly frustrating. I can just hear someone thinking, if I change my phone to English, I won't even know how to find the settings to change it back.
Oh, that anxiety is completely real. And the materials we looked at, they address it head on.
Yeah.
That initial confusion, that's actually the most valuable part of the exercise.
How so?
We learn best when there's a necessary urgency. When your native language is gone and you have to reply to a message or find an app, your brain is forced to figure out the English fast. That necessity factor just speeds up learning like you wouldn't believe.
You get used to it quickly because you have no other choice.
Super fast. The friction is the point. It's not about being comfortable, it's about using that discomfort as a learning tool.
That's a great reframe. Okay, let's get into the daily activities, the juicy part, what to actually do every day.
Right, moving from just taking it in to actually producing it.
Let's start with the easiest layer, passive consumption.
Or, as one source called it, ear candy.
Ear candy, I love that. So this is about flooding your ears. Podcasts, music in English, audiobooks, just having a constant stream going while you're doing other things.
Exactly. Commuting, cooking, cleaning. And the crucial detail here, and this is important, is you cannot stress about catching every single word.
Because that's overwhelming.
Totally. People give up. But your brain is still acting like a sponge. It's soaking up the rhythm, the flow, the common little phrases. You're building an auditory foundation.
Okay, so from there, we step it up a bit. Visual immersion. Binge watching with a purpose.
Yes, the 3-step viewing strategy. It's very structured.
Step 1.
Watch with subtitles in your native language, just to get the plot, the context.
Step 2, you switch to English subtitles. This is the bridge, right? You connect what you're hearing to the actual written words.
Cements the vocabulary. And then finally, step 3. You take a deep breath and you turn them off completely.
Brave it with no subtitles.
Brave it. And the sources say to use stuff you already kind of know, like sitcoms like Friends or big movie franchises, Harry Potter, the Marvel stuff.
Because you already know the story, so you can fill in the gaps.
Your brain can focus on the language instead of trying to figure out the plot.
Okay, now we're getting into the active stuff, active reading.
The advice here is pretty simple. Read everything. But, and this is key, start with stuff that's easy and fun.
So it doesn't feel like a chore.
Right. If you love cars, read car blogs in English. If you're into fashion, read fashion magazines. You have to enjoy the ride, so you'll push through the tough vocabulary because you're actually interested.
This next one is where I think the real challenge is. The big cognitive leap. Thinky thoughts in English.
Ah, yes. The internal monologue.
This is where we shift from consuming the language to forcing ourselves to produce it, even if it's just inside our own heads.
That sounds hard. It's the most challenging step, for sure, but it's also probably the most rewarding. Your brain's default is always your native language, right? It's the path of least resistance.
So how do you even start to change that?
You start small. The sources say to start with, like really simple narration of what you're doing.
Give me an example.
Okay, you're making a sandwich. You literally narrate it in your head. Okay, now I am spreading the peanut butter on the bread. I am getting a knife from the drawer.
So you're describing physical reality, not trying to have some deep philosophical debate in English in your head.
Not yet. You're just forcing that internal operating system to switch over. It's a habit, and once you build it, your fluency just takes off.
And from internal production to external, chat it up, you have to actually speak.
You have to. Find a language buddy online, join a Discord group, or honestly, just talk to yourself in the mirror. It feels weird at first, but it builds confidence. Producing language out loud uses a different part of your brain.
Which brings us to the tools and, maybe more importantly, the mindset you need to keep this all going.
Let's talk toolkit. First, the apps. Duolingo, Babbel, Memrise.
And we shouldn't think of them as just little games.
No, they're like structural support. They provide that gamified consistency that helps you build a real habit, especially with grammar.
And for those tricky words you run into.
Your online dictionary is your new best friend, Merriam-Webster Collins, whatever. And you have to do the dictionary dive.
Meaning you look it up immediately.
Immediately. Don't skip it. Stop. Look it up. Understand it in context.
Then there's YouTube University.
Of course. And this isn't just about watching Learn English videos.
Right. It's about your hobbies.
Exactly. Find a woodworking channel in English. Watch travel vlogs in English. You marry your passion with the language exposure. You won't even notice you're studying.
And finally, joining the tribe. Using forums, social media.
Finding your people. It's critical for support, for tips, and for accountability.
Which leads us to the real talk.
Yeah.
Motivation. How do you avoid burning out?
Yeah.
Because this is where most people fail.
It all comes down to consistency, not intensity. All the sources hit this hard. They call it baby steps.
Set tiny, achievable goals.
So small they feel easy, like this week I'll just change my phone's language, or today I will listen to 30 minutes of ear candy. And you have to celebrate every single win.
But let's be real. If someone only has 30 minutes a day, is that really enough to make a difference?
The research is so clear on this. 30 minutes of focused immersion every single day is way more effective than cramming for 3 hours once a week.
Because it's about building habits, building those neural pathways.
They get stronger through daily repetition. It has to become a non-negotiable part of your day, like brushing your teeth.
And what about that fear of making mistakes? That's what stops people from talking.
It's the biggest hurdle. The mindset shift you have to make is to embrace being imperfect. Mistakes are normal, they're just feedback.
So you shouldn't be embarrassed by them.
You should laugh them off, learn from them, and just keep going. The goal is communication, not perfection. The second you accept that, your confidence just shoots up.
So when we put it all together for you, the listener, the mission was a shortcut to fluency. And what we found is that the shortcut is really about changing your environment and being incredibly consistent.
It is. You're building a custom bubble. From sticky notes on your fridge to narrating your own lunch prep.
It's the constant, gentle push towards the language that gets the fastest results.
That's it. Small, consistent effort inside that immersion zone you've built, that's the most powerful tool you have.
So if the most effective tactic is really shifting that internal monologue to thinky thoughts in English, it brings up a really interesting final question for you to think about. What actually happens to how you see the world and even your relationship with your own native language when English stops being something you translate and starts being the default operating system inside your head?
You stop translating and you just start thinking. And that shift, it changes how you process reality itself. Imagine what that mental transformation feels like when this new language becomes the main lens through which you experience your day. So if the idea of achieving fluency in a new language feels like this, massive, distant undertaking.
Like something that definitely requires a plane ticket.
Exactly. One that probably requires an expensive plane ticket. We are about to completely reframe that goal for you.
We really are.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really specific, beginner-friendly blueprint for building a total English immersion zone right in your own home.
And that's the core insight here. This isn't just a list of general study tips. It's a structured, a four-part strategy. It's psychological and environmental.
And the sources we're looking at, they make a big promise. A pathway to significant fluency by 2026.
They do.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to peel back the layers on this plan. We're not just going to list the steps. We want to dissect the why behind them.
The cognitive science that makes it all work.
Right. What actually makes these at-home strategies effective?
Absolutely. We need to know what separates this blueprint from just, a standard language textbook. So let's clarify this concept of home immersion first. When we say immersion, are we talking about sitting in a room translating vocabulary lists all day long?
No, not at all. The whole principle is to mimic natural acquisition. I mean, think about how a baby learns their first language.
Right, they're just surrounded by it.
Exactly. They're constantly surrounded by sounds and context and repetition. They just absorb it and start to understand, not by memorizing, but little by little.
Through constant exposure.
That's what our blueprint leverages. It creates that critical 24/7 exposure without you ever having to relocate. It's about, integrating the language into your routine, making it inescapable, but also fun.
Okay, so let's unpack this action plan. Let's start with the immediate setup.
The first steps.
The blueprint begins with 3 specific changes that are meant to instantly integrate English into your daily life, both physically and digitally.
And the first one, which is arguably the most immediate, is what they call the label game.
The label game.
You take sticky notes, you write the English names of common objects, cup, fridge, light, and you stick them right on the items.
Okay, but, that sounds incredibly basic, right? For someone looking for a deep dive, what's the actual cognitive benefit of putting a note that says door on a door?
It does sound basic.
How is that better than just reviewing a flashcard?
It's about engaging your spatial memory. See, with a flashcard, it's abstract. When you look at the physical object and see the word in that space, your brain connects the word, the object, the function, the context, all at once.
Without your native language getting in the way.
Without your native language as an intermediary. Yep. Exactly. It goes passive reinforcement. You don't have to study. The learning just happens every time you walk through your house.
That reframes it completely. So you're building direct association pathways. Okay. The blueprint then recommends creating a physical English fun zone. Tell us about this intentional space.
Well, this is about the ritual of learning. It's this designated, comfortable corner where all your English resources live. It transforms the activity from a chore into like a self-directed retreat.
It's Psychology 101, really.
It is. If you make the learning environment inviting and cozy, you're way more likely to spend dedicated, high-quality time there. It's a physical cue that flips a switch in your brain.
And then comes the big one, the digital step that I think a lot of people resist.
Oh, for sure.
Changing the language on your phone and your computer to English.
This is the shock treatment, and in this blueprint, it's mandatory. The sources even warn that it will be hard at first. It will be frustrating.
I can imagine.
But it forces this rapid learning of really important vocabulary. We interact with our phones hundreds of times a day. You quickly learn settings, battery low, send message, not by studying them.
But because you have to.
Because you need to complete a task. It turns necessity into your best teacher. You're forced to engage with crucial, functional language right away.
So once the environment is steeped in English, the focus shifts to daily input. And the listening strategy here is fascinating to me.
It is, isn't it?
Because it defies that beginner impulse to immediately translate everything. The advice is simply to listen to English songs, podcasts, stories, and not worry about understanding the words.
Exactly. The initial phase is purely phonetic. You're training your ear.
What do you mean by that?
Well, our brains are wired to filter out unfamiliar sounds phones that don't exist in our native language. So by listening consistently, without the pressure to understand, you're teaching your auditory system to just recognize the specific rhythms and stress patterns of English.
You're laying the groundwork.
You're laying vital groundwork before you even try to match sound to meaning.
You're priming the pump, essentially. Okay, let's talk about watching things then. Media consumption. The blueprint has this brilliant progression called the subtitle ladder.
This structured approach is what makes it so much better than just random viewing. People often jump straight into English shows with English subtitles and just burn out.
It's too much at once.
Way too much. Your reading speed, processing speed, listening comprehension, they're all fighting for attention. The latter manages that cognitive overload.
So step one is watching English content, but with subtitles in your own native language. What's the specific benefit of doing that?
It lets you grasp the full plot and context using your strongest skill native reading while still bathing your ear in authentic English sound. You're building contextual scaffolding.
So you know what's going on and you're just absorbing the flow.
You're absorbing the culture, the flow of the language without that stressful translation burden.
And then the critical shift, step two. You graduate to English subtitles. This must be a huge leap in the process.
It is the hinge point. By this stage, you've already built the scaffolding. So now when you see the word hungry on the screen, your brain matches the sound you just heard with the text on the screen and the scene's context, like an actor holding their stomach.
It all clicks together.
That systematic linking of sound, print, and context is the fastest way to build your reading vocabulary and finally move away from relying on your native tongue.
Then the blueprint suggests reading. Again, starting small. Children's books, simple stories.
And the goal remains the same. Understand the main idea. Don't try to translate every single word. This reinforces fluency over perfection.
Because if you stop to look up every fifth word, you lose the flow.
You break the flow, you lose engagement. By aiming for the core idea, you train your brain to tolerate ambiguity, a necessary skill for any fluent speaker. And you let the context give you the meaning of new words. It's so much better for memory.
Okay, so input is only half the battle. The blueprint insists that without activation, actually using the language fluency just stagnates.
It's a classic plateau.
And the first activation step is an internal one, trying to think simple thoughts in English.
We often forget that language happens inside our heads first. The sources suggest starting with simple sentences, just narrating your own life. I am going to work now, or I am drinking coffee.
It's like an internal workout.
It is. You're building internal muscle memory. You're creating a direct pathway that bypasses that automatic translation layer in your brain.
That sounds incredibly powerful. Okay, moving to external activation. The next step is obviously speaking, and the advice here is refreshingly practical.
It is. Find a friend, or just talk to yourself.
Is talking to yourself really effective?
It's genuinely underrated. It is zero-stakes practice. You can experiment with pronunciation, with grammar, with sentence structure, all without any fear of judgment. It's essential vocalizing practice.
But we have to address the elephant in the room for every language learner.
The fear.
The fear of making mistakes. The blueprint seems to hinge on overcoming this one psychological barrier.
The sources are unequivocal on this.
Yeah.
Accepting errors is the single most important mindset shift. We need to stop thinking of mistakes as failures and start seeing them as critical feedback.
It's how you learn.
It connects directly to Stephen Krashen's theories on the affective filter. That's the emotional wall that blocks learning. If you fear mistakes, your filter goes up and you stop taking risks. Making mistakes is proof that you're pushing your boundaries. It's the only way to grow.
Okay, so we have the environment, the input strategy, the activation plan. Let's talk logistics. What specific, ready-to-use tools does the blueprint recommend?
The toolkit is very pragmatic. For structured learning, they suggest easy-to-use apps like Duolingo or Memrise for vocabulary. They gamify it, which keeps the engagement high.
And when you get stuck?
When complexity hits, you use online dictionaries for quick lookups. The key is not breaking the flow for too long.
And what about for media consumption? Any specific suggestions there?
Yes, they prioritize content designed for learners or content that relies heavily on context. So English learning channels on YouTube and, importantly, cartoons in English.
Cartoons? Why cartoons?
They're fantastic. They use simpler sentences and rely on extreme visual cues, gestures, bold facial expressions. That visual information reinforces meaning even when the words are totally new.
And the final tool is community. The blueprint emphasizes joining online groups for English learners.
Because immersion can feel isolating. Joining these groups gives you accountability, a social outlet, and a safe space to practice with people who get it. It helps lower that affective filter we talked about.
When everyone is in the same boat, the pressure to be perfect just vanishes.
And practice becomes consistent and fun.
Consistency is the key word. So let's get into the motivational psychology. The blueprint has 4 pillars to stay persistent. The first is small steps.
This is critical. Language learning is a marathon. Big, distant goals just lead to burnout. By setting small, achievable goals like learning 3 new words today and celebrating those minor victories, you create a continuous positive feedback loop.
Which leads right into the third pillar. Give yourself treats.
Exactly. It's simple conditioning. A sticker, a snack, a short break.
Something to reward yourself.
Every time you hit a small goal and immediately reinforce it with a reward, you're activating your brain's dopamine system. You're teaching your brain to associate the effort of learning with pleasure. It turns it from a chore into a rewarding habit.
And the other 2 pillars just reinforce that safety net. Find a friend, because it's more fun together. And that powerful reiteration of embracing mistakes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, fluency by 2026, the brilliance of these small reinforced steps is that they guarantee consistency. Fluency isn't achieved by occasional, intense study sessions.
It's about showing up every single day.
And doing the small work. These pillars turn a daunting multi-year goal into a series of achievable, rewarding daily tasks.
So what does this all mean? Our deep dive confirms that achieving fluency through immersion, it doesn't require a passport.
Not at all.
It requires structure, intention, and strategic management of your own cognitive load. The blueprint gives us actionable steps from labeling your house to flipping your phone language.
And it roots all that progress in a motivational framework built on small rewards and just the absolute acceptance of making errors.
We've seen that the process flows so logically, from passive listening to train your ear to structured visual input with the subtitle ladder.
And it all culminates in active thinking and output. It's a beautifully constructed ramp to fluency.
Which raises an important question for you to explore as you start this journey. If fluency really relies on building knowledge little by little like a baby, and babies learn so much through observation, how might intentionally integrating nonverbal communication?
The gestures, the body language.
Exactly. The specific gestures or facial expressions from the characters you watch. How might that accelerate your path to thinking and expressing yourself entirely in English? It's something to think about how much communication happens outside the spoken word.
So start setting up that fun zone today. Commit to that digital flip and remember to celebrate every single small victory. You have the knowledge now. The only remaining step is to start.